right, I see that Commissioner Rogers and Commissioner Morale are both here. We have a quorum. I'd like to officially call the public hearing to order. This is our 6:45 public hearing regarding citizen comments of the appropriation ordinance and levy. I don't see any citizen comments here. If anybody has any comments, feel free to make those comments.
Yes, you're.
I got it.
In lieu of anybody making comments, we'll just stay here in an open meeting until 7 o'clock, until we start the meeting, the next meeting.
I got it. Anything going on? I'll call you back. Bye.
I know we're short two commissioners, but do you want me to go over some of the changes and some of the stuff, the minor changes we made?
To the budget,
Yes.
I would rather wait.
Okay.
Those don't necessarily have to be discussed in the hearing. It can be done as a part of the discussion before the vote in the regular meeting.
Yeah, this is really the time for the public to complain about what's being spent on this and not being spent on that.
Let the complaints commence.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Can I ask just a logistical question about the public hearing?
Sure.
'Cause I'm curious. So during this portion of citizen comment, we typically can't, or the board typically can't do like a back and forth with citizens. But for the public hearing, is that something that would happen or no? Theoretically, if somebody came and wanted to talk about it.
My impression is no, but I would love to hear Charles's opinion.
I think it's really up to the board. This is really the time for the public to make input into the draft appropriations ordinance that they've all studiously reviewed. So they could come in and say, we think you're spending too much money on this and you're not spending enough money on that. And what's this capital improvement project? And, you know, you got to give them the chance to make those comments. And if somebody makes a comment where they're misinterpreting something and you want to correct them, I don't see anything wrong with that. But, you know, I don't know that there's no reason for them to expect you to answer questions. They're just commenting on what the appropriation budget looks like.
If their comments, I guess I'm curious too on the timing, like why do we do it in the same month that we have to pass it? Like if there were comments that might warrant changes or discussion,
So
it's too late, right?
I think the reason is because it's statutory that this is when it's done. And it's not too late because the board can change the budget at the meeting. They can, and somebody could just look at it and notice there's a $500 error. And, you know, Jerry could look at that and say, oops, and then we could change that, but.
I see. So it's statutory that the public hearing happen at the meeting where you intend to pass it.
Right.
Okay, cool, thanks. Didn't know. The more you know.
Well, it's not at the meeting, it's before the meeting.
Before the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, one minor thing, we were supposed to make a motion to go into the public hearing. I don't think we did.
Matt moved to begin it.
Right. So we're in it, but for Julie's purposes, somebody.
Oh,
should-
you mean a motion and a second?
Yeah,
But you don't make a motion in a second to begin a meeting. Meeting's called to order.
yeah. but
Only if you're changing meetings, does one recess or adjourn to go into the next meeting. But for the first initial meeting, you would still just call to order.
Oh, yeah, you're correct. I was looking at something else.
Yeah. So it's only when you're changing within, but the first one is always a call to order.
I think Brian was looking at the motion to hold the meeting through
I'm
Zoom.
assuming, yeah. Yep. I didn't finish reading.
All right. So I see that it's 7 o'clock. Guess I would move to adjourn the public hearing. We need to vote on that.
Somebody's got to make a motion.
All right, I move to adjourn the public hearing. Is there a second?
We should probably recess and then go into our main meeting instead of adjourning.
Well, they're two separate. There's a public hearing and then there's our meeting. So I would adjourn the public hearing and call our regular meeting to order.
Fine, a second.
All those, Julie, you want to do a roll call vote?
Sure. Anton?
Yes.
Thank you. Is Debbie Braun here yet?
No.
I think so. Morel?
Yes, sorry, yes.
Rogers?
Yes,
And Mitchell?
Yes. All right, motion passes. And then I hereby call our regular monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. I would move to hold this meeting via Zoom in light of the governor's COVID-19 disaster proclamation. I think it's impractical to me. I'm currently under the weather and I'm glad not to get anybody else sick. Is there a second?
A second, since I have COVID too.
All right, Julie, could we roll call the vote?
Yep. Anton?
Yes.
Morel?
Yes,
Rogers?
yes.
Mitchell?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Are there any citizen comments for our regular meeting? Hearing none, we will move on to approval of the minutes. I apologize for not being at the last meeting. I was out of town and thought I would have internet connection, but I did not. So I apologize about that. Is there a motion regarding the August 2022 minutes?
I move to approve the August 22nd minutes.
A second?
I second Rogers.
Any discussion? Casey?
I just wanted to point out real fast in the minutes, it says that Aisha was going to be coming to the next board meeting. That should be the next committee meeting. She was at our last committee meeting, but she will not be joining us today.
Thanks, JC.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Diana, do you want to amend your motion for that clarification?
I amend my motion to approve the August 22nd minutes. Is that what I need to say?
With the clarification that Ms. Robinson is planning on being at the Ready Committee meeting, not the board meeting.
Okay, with the clarification of Ms. Robinson.
Is there a second to that amendment?
I second the approved edit.
And Ms. Larson, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Anton?
Yes.
Morel?
Quick clarification
Yes.
before we continue the vote. Are we voting on the amendment that was requested or are we voting on the minutes themselves?
Amendment.
Themselves with the amended clarification.
Okay, there's two separate motions though.
No, there's just one motion. She amended the motion. It's been seconded, and that's what's being voted on.
Okay, well, I didn't think you could amend a motion without the authority of the second being there, but I'll play along with the game.
So the motion was to approve the minutes with the amendment, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Rogers,
Yes,
and Mitchell.
I'm going to abstain because I was not at that meeting. But the motion passes, and we will move on to approval of the bills. Mr. Rosinski, you want to lead us through those bills?
Sure. I'll go through some of the unusuals. As we go down the cover page, AutoWares Group was a small battery for one of the lawnmowers. Bella Consulting is equity consultant. Alan Butella, skateboard class, part of our partner class. As we go farther down, Michael P. Hoff is also skateboarding class, partner class. Illinois Association of Park Districts was the first half of the director search. Jean-Pierre, Madison Jean-Pierre is a refund. Julie Lewis, Ready Committee minutes. Playwell Technologies, summer partner camp, very successful. Rebecca Rogers, refund. Russo Power Equipment was a lawnmower, or I'm sorry, a battery for vehicle. And Sunrise Tree, we had to remove a elm tree in Leiter on the west side of the park that was infested with Dutch elm and non-stinging insects. So it came down fast. Sunrise did it for us. Mariah Taylor, refund. That's it for the unusual.
Any questions or discussion? And is there a motion regarding the September 2022 bills?
Rogers moves approval of the September 8th, 2022 bills in the amount of $24,491.18.
I second it.
Thank you. Julie, please do a vote.
John,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
and Mitchell.
Yes. Motion carries. Moving on to the petty cash expenditures. Brian, you want to lead us through those?
Sure. Very low spending month, which is good news. Summer's over. Amazon was paint pens for the block party. Apple Incorporated was iPad memory. Firehouse Grill, we bought pizza for the crew at the last concert, which was packed. Home Depot, Beach Pebbles for the block party, and mail chips, emails over 2,000.
There a motion?
Rogers moves approval of the petty cash for September 8th, 2022 in the amount of $163.26.
Second it.
Julie, could we vote on that, please?
John,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
and Mitchell.
Yes. Motion carries. And we move on to our monthly reports, starting with Mr. Rosinski.
Hey, the first paragraph. Please be advised, the September 8th board meeting will begin at 6:45. I don't know how many people read that. We're past that. In the past month, we've concluded our summer programs and completed some important maintenance items. Natalie will update you on the summer program, but I must tell you the block party that we scheduled, that we had to reschedule due to poor weather, was a smashing hit on August 31st at Ridgeville Park. Great job by Natalie and staff. The two important maintenance projects that were completed the week of 8/29/22, the asbestos tile was removed from the community house first floor stairwell on 8/29. On 9/1, central rug and floors installed the new carpet. These were important projects to be completed between class sessions, so we did not interrupt the program schedule. The maintenance crews kept the parks as nice as they could be. We've had very little rain in the last 3 weeks, and we've barely cut the grass. That'll be reflected in the gas bill that is reflected in the Citgo bill that you just passed. It was slim and none. We need to pass the appropriation ordinance in this meeting. A copy of that ordinance is in your monthly packet with latest line items. The line items will help you see where increases or decreases in certain categories. I asked you to please look at section 7 of the ordinance, and you will see that we are asking for a new F-250 with plow for park maintenance. We very recently discovered that our current F-250 will not make it much longer. It's a 2008 that was purchased in 2009 and has seen its better days. This addition to the District Capital Improvement Fund was discussed with Treasurer Gibbs and Board President Mitchell. If approved, we'll order it as soon as Cook County tax bills are billed. It will not be available for a few months at least after ordering, and will not affect our big ticket spending freeze. I have a little bit of other news that didn't make my report. IAPD Director Service update. Next week, we will send you, Jung and I will send you a suggested timeline for hiring and suggested text for our agency information. That will be part of the executive director announcement in the vacancy brochure. Alan Howard of IAPD is our contact for this, and will take board input for any changes to the timeline text or brochure. When you have any changes, you please send those changes to me and I will forward those to Alan. The board will always have final approval and final say to anything that's produced by IAPD or Ridgeville Park District. And I have to ask you one quick question. Did you guys complete your survey yet? Because I talked to Alan today and he said he hasn't received any.
Ryan, I never got it. I did get a different survey regarding the Joint Legislative Committee from IAPD.
That was for me and you.
Yeah.
And there was another survey sent, I believe, end of August or even before. Has anybody else seen that survey?
Who's it from? IAPD?
Yes.
Brian, I got it. I apologize. It completely slipped my mind, but I received it. Yes. I apologize. I haven't filled it out. I will get that done though.
I can resend it to everybody tomorrow. Maybe.
I got mine also.
Okay. Matt and Mick. I'll send tomorrow. We'll send it out to.
Send it to me.
Did you get it? Did you get it,
I
Diana?
don't see it. I'm looking for it now. I don't see it.
Was it? Did you check your Ridgeville email too?
I'll do that now.
Diane, it went to your Ridgeville address, as well as your Gmail address.
Oh, okay.
It's from office.ridgeville.org.
Okay.
I see it too.
I'm here, guys, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes, I have it.
Hello?
Hi, Debbie. Yes, I have it.
You do have it?
I do.
Okay. So,
I'll complete that tomorrow.
okay.
All right. Sorry.
Just to confirm, we're talking about the qualification survey, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Matt, you didn't find it?
I did. I do have it.
Didn't get it.
I will get that in tomorrow.
You found it?
I did.
Okay.
I
Debbie,
looked for it today when Matt Rogers and I were talking and I didn't get it.
okay, you'll let me know?
Debbie, it was sent to your Yahoo address and your Ridgeville address on August 19th.
Yeah, I looked because that, but I guess I should look in spam.
I'll forward it to you right
Well, yeah, it came from the Ridgeville
I know, but stuff from Natalie has been in my spam before.
Oh, all
So,
right.
I just resent it to you, Devin.
okay, thanks, Matt.
Debbie, you'll let me know.
Let you know, I'll fill it up and send it in tomorrow or tonight, late.
So you do have it?
No, Matt just said he sent it to me.
Oh, okay, all right. So you will
Okay.
have it. Got it.
Okay. All right.
All right. Brian, we're still in your report, yes?
No, I have finished. That's it. Survey is important. We got to get it back.
Great. Any questions or discussion for Mr. Rosinski? Any questions regarding that F-250? All right. We'll move on to Mr. Gibbs, the treasurer's report.
Yeah, you know what, Matt? Sorry, I have a quick question on that for Brian. What happened to the old truck? Is it just old age, or did something catastrophic give out recently?
It's old age. It's still functioning, but we did some work on it previously, and Nick and Ernie's told us you won't have much longer with this. So
Okay.
It's making all sorts of noises. It's 13, 14 years old, and we got to get through the winter with a plow. So
Sure. No, and the new one it'll be a single cab.
Yes, it'll be the same thing, F-250. If we can reuse the plow and the attachments, we will. If we can't, we won't.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jerry?
Okay, all of the fiscal year end posting of financial activities done. I've distributed the final versions of the appropriations ledger, the balance sheet, the general ledger trial balance, statement of revenues and disbursements, the outstanding unresolved items, and the reconcilement of the cash and investment accounts to the fund balances. On some of those reports, you got a couple copies. One is marked final and one is marked closed. You'll find it's more meaningful to work with the ones marked final. The difference between the two is the final is the snapshot of financial activity as of the end of the year. The closed version is the snapshot after all of the revenue and appropriations have been rolled into the fund balances and the accounts closed out as if shutting down the district. Effectively, that's what creates the opening balances for the new fiscal year. That snapshot kind of just exists in almost a fictional moment in time. But they do get produced because they are used in the process, and you're entitled to see them. But the meaningful numbers are in the final versions. In those, I'll quickly run through the key indicator discussions. On the appropriations side, our actual expenditures ended the year roughly $90,000 below the budget. Recall that back in June, we discussed about 70,000 of that and had itemized out the various categories the shortfall was going to appear in. In the revenue side, the revenues exceeded the plan by about $40,000. One category of overage was in particularly the replacement taxes, which are a difficult category for us to anticipate or plan for. And it seems that they came in so high because of changes that have taken place at the state legislature level. In the recreation fund, we had a favorable gain in program revenue as well, which was 26,000 more than expected. If you look at the cash flow position, it kind of takes into account both the appropriation and the revenue halves of the equation. And so over the overall in the cash flow position, appropriations exceeded, revenue exceeded appropriations by $94,000. Now our plan was to actually reduce, we wanted to reduce the balances by 36,000, which meant we wanted to have the appropriations exceed the revenues by 36,000. So what that's done for us is created an unfavorable $130,000 variance to the plan. Unfavorable because it means we're going to be adding to our fund balances money that we told the taxpayers we were going to tax them for and spend for specific purposes, and that didn't happen. So we have to be careful not to do some of our spending planning for the coming year without first turning to the unexpended funds that we have on hand. So we've done that as a part of the budget planning process. But that's why I say that it's unfavorable, because it adds a little wrinkle into the budget planning process. We ended up in this position partly because of the lingering impacts of COVID-19 disruptions to the supply chains. For example, the Gator maintenance equipment didn't come in. And our district recreational programming has been adjusting to our things on and off again, and kind of how we had to plan conservatively, but we could be more aggressive in restarting some of the programs if COVID was kept in check. So we've had a lot of moving parts and a lot of variables. It's not, it's easy enough to explain why we had such a huge unfavorable variance, but it's just something we have to incorporate and give special attention to during the budget process. And we'll have to explain it in the annual financial report, and just kind of keep all of this in mind, because it may be 2 or 3 years before any repercussions from this come back that we have to then be able to explain. So that's part of the reason why I'm careful to highlight and discuss some of this now, so we've got it in the record of what's been going on. In terms of the assets and liabilities, we got about $1.3 million on the balance sheet. Our cash and investment balances as of the end of June were around $945,000. We at year end, we carry some unusual items that through the year are zero. Those unusual items are the prepaid interest, where we've got $24,000 in assets there because of how the accruals for the interest payments work. And on the accounts payable, we're carrying $37,000 of accounts payable that we don't normally have during the year, but at year end, because of accruals, we do have to account for those. Overall, fund balances increased by just under $95,000, which is consistent with the cash flow position that we discussed previously. We don't have any banking relationships that are in excess of the FDIC limits as of June 30th, which is a good thing. And of the 10 outstanding items, only 3 were stale by more than 1 board meeting, and none were older than 6 months, which is a very clean, outstanding unresolved items report. Kudos to Zhang in the office for staying on top of the problematic items. When I drafted the report, we still had not been asked to certify the tax levy amounts and the rate calculations for the levy ordinance passed last December for the property tax bills that would normally go out in July. We have no official word still on when that information will be ready for certification. We continue to expect that it will likely be sometime around the November timeframe. Our operating balances in the Chase relationship got quite low during the month. I transferred $50,000 from the Illinois funds to Chase in early September. I had initially intended to transfer it from Wintrust, but that's a little more time-consuming process to make happen, and I didn't have a chance to deal with it that way. It was faster and easier to get the money out of the Illinois funds. So I still have $50,000 staged at Wintrust for the next transfer, which will likely happen sometime later this month or before next board meeting, because the balances will again fall pretty low in the operating accounts as we pay payrolls and the bills. Sikich, our audit firm, is scheduled to be on site for their annual audit review during the week starting around September 21st. We'll have assignments to prep stuff for them and work on getting that for them. The package of financial reports that gets provided to Sikich, I've had a copy distributed to all of you separately from the monthly reports for this board meeting. This is the work product, so to speak, of what I do throughout the year, working from the bills and payroll reports and the documents provided by staff, bank statements from the various financial institutions. I classify entries and post transactions to the general ledger, reconcile the various sources of revenue and expenditures to the bank statements and the general ledger, and produce the reports that are contained in that financial package. The first half dozen or so pages of the package are familiar to you because they're basically the monthly reports, like we've discussed at the beginning of this meeting and at meetings throughout the year. The bulkiest section of the package is the journal of all transactions and the ledger of all accounts, which is a couple hundred pages long. I don't normally distribute that because of its size. And the last section of the packet contains various supplemental worksheets and subjournals that are used in some of the specialized accounting procedures that open the fiscal year and close it out, as well as account for some of the levy ordinances and the appropriations ordinance. And then finally, I call your attention to the inventory reports. These are, another name for them would be the fixed asset reports. These list the assets in two broad categories: the land of the district and the assets that are not land, the equipment and improvements to the buildings and grounds of the district. These are taken by the auditors and feed into their depreciation calculations that'll be in the certified annual financial report that they prepare on our behalf. That is all I have for you tonight. I'm happy to take any questions, but that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Jerry. That's the first time I've ever seen that inventory of the land and where it was acquired from.
Well, we hand it out every year, so it's been out there before, but it's probably in your early times it was too overwhelming with everything else flying at you.
Never got to page 214. All right. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Gibbs? All right. Thank you, Jerry. Natalie?
Thanks. Quick summer wrap up. Summer was an absolute blast. Everything went very well, from camps to classes to special events. We had really beautiful weather and great turnout for the entire Concerts on the Ridge series this summer. We did unfortunately have to cancel the block party due to weather that never actually came. It was infuriating. But we were able to pivot the whole event and bring it to the final concert of the season on August 31st. It was a big hit. There were tons of people. Thank you so much to the staff and commissioners and the community, everybody, for showing up throughout the whole summer and supporting programming. Chicago Action Sports and Character Skateboards. We hosted two weekend-long camps with these folks. One was an intro to skateboarding camp, and one of them focused on skateboard design. Both were a success. People seemed really, really interested in that. I had kind of heard a buzz about that for a while, that might be an interest, and so had reached out to one of the gentlemen that we worked with, and we were picking out skate equipment. And we've been planning this for probably, 5 or 6 months leading up to this. So glad we got it done. It went really well, and I look forward to working with them for more camps in the future. Soul Line Dance. This past Friday, we started our new monthly workshop, Soul Line Dance. Cynthia McFadden is leading these workshops on the first Friday of each month. The first one was a huge success. She probably had about 20 folks show up to dance with her, and they had a lot of fun. So looking forward to that as we continue throughout the year. Studio 908 fall classes and partner programs begin the week of September 11th. Registration is looking pretty good. We have a few youth programs that are already on wait lists. This fall, we will also partner with The Imaginary Game, Grupo Axe Capoeira, Language in Action, Upbeat Feet with Miss Mac, and Fat Chance Belly Dance, and the Avalon Theater Club. Bike the Ridge is scheduled for September 25th from 9 to 1. This is our annual partnership with the city of Evanston. They closed down Ridge Avenue between Howard Street and Church Street. There will be concerts at Ridgeville from School of Rock. There will be food vendors, other local organizations. passing out information, maybe a bike raffle again this year. We have a meeting with Mike Miro next week to get an update on all that, but mark your calendars and come on out. Fall Frenzy, our annual Fall Frenzy event will take place at Ridgeville Park on Tuesday, October 18th from 4 to 6 p.m. We'll be joined by DJ Johnny Price, featuring a candy scavenger hunt and some other fun family-friendly activities. And then finally, just a quick note, I'm going to be out of the office October 9th through the 17th with very limited access to the internet. So that means I'm not going to be at the next board meeting. So assuming it's okay with everybody, I will take care of the agenda and all of that a little bit early. So I'll be asking for agenda items Monday, October 3rd, and then send out a final agenda Friday, October 7th, in order to get it posted online before I leave. And that's it.
Thank you, Natalie. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I got two things. The skateboarding thing, I thought that was really cool. I saw them over there one day. It looked like it was very well attended, especially considering the fact that it was kind of like not last minute, but it was right. It wasn't posted in any of our program or the handbooks that go out or anything like that. So I
got it in there.
Oh, was it?
I got it in
Oh,
there at the very last minute.
It looked like a blast. I didn't get to see any of the skateboards that were made. I would have liked to have seen that. So hopefully that's something you can do again in the future, especially when my kids get old enough, because I would love for them to go to that.
They took some cool pics, Mick, I can forward to you, of all the skateboards that they designed. Really, really neat.
I'd love to see them. That sounds really cool. And then secondly, I just wanted to thank you and all the staff for your hard work this summer. Those concerts on Wednesday nights are one of the highlights of my week and my family's week. And I have a lot of friends in the community that I see there every week. Everybody, you know what I mean? It's on their calendar. They know it's there. People really look forward to it. We had some really good weather on Wednesday nights this week. And I just think it's like a small enough thing, but a big enough thing where it's, there's nothing really else like that, that I know of in the city going on right now. And it's just a really, really neat thing that you've done. So I want to thank you for your work. And I think it's a great thing that Ridgeville is doing. So I'm proud of us, proud of all of you for doing it. So thank you. And I'm sad that they're over, but we'll be looking forward to next summer. So thank you, Natalie.
Thanks.
I second that emotion. It's been great, just to see. Can you hear me? Yeah, just to see so many people out there every week. It's just amazing. Great work, Natalie.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And moving on to the Ready Committee report, Ms. Herman.
Hello there. The Ready Committee would like to have a voice in the search and hire of the new director for Ridgeville Park District. If they have not yet been informed, we're hoping that the Illinois Association of Park Districts, the organization chosen to lead the search, will be informed about RPD's dedication to becoming anti-racist. We feel that by involving the committee, the Board of Commissioners will be demonstrating its commitment to the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We feel our participation will complement and invigorate the discussion with applicants, while also helping IAPD find the best fit for our constituents. We also hope all the candidates will show a demonstrated interest in this work, will be made aware of the committee and its role, and be familiar with the language that we use around this topic. To accomplish this, we feel the chair and one member of the Ready Committee should be a part of the process, communicating with the rest of the committee as needed. This would include the chair being interviewed by the IAPD along with the commissioners and ensuring questions about EDI are addressed. Moving forward, we hope the committee will be allowed to participate in the selection of senior staff and appointing commissioners. Again, we feel this collaboration will enhance the process while also keeping our work towards becoming anti-racist, inclusive, and reflecting the needs of our residents in the forefront. I also did just want to let you all know, it didn't make it into the report because this was a little bit more recent, but I do want to let you know the next steps of the committee. We are going to start looking at the ordinances that Dr. Effiam had recommended we rewrite. Aisha has been instrumental in helping us create a framework that we can use when we're going through those ordinances. And then we also are going to be discussing some Facebook posts about the removal of the basketball hoops at our next meeting, in case anyone is interested and wants to partake in that meeting. Is there any questions?
I don't have any questions. I like the idea of Ready Committee being involved in the executive director search. I think I'm not clear what the process is quite yet. So what kind of formal arrangement the Ready Committee would have, I don't know. I think end of the day, it's going to be the 5 commissioners who vote on the new executive director. But I would like to have a lot of Ready Committee input. And I really like the idea of having it kind of be a requirement that the person that we go with is up to speed on the language we use, our intentions as a district, kind of up to speed on anti-racist thought and organization.
Thank you. I do. I agree. I think it's really important. We've worked hard to get to where we are, and I want to make sure that we're able to continue moving forward.
Great. Thank you. So yes, I would love to keep this conversation going about the role that Ready Committee would be involved in the search and hiring of the next ED.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I think we need to sort of we need to come up fairly quickly with what is our process moving forward on this and where is input given outside of the commissioners. And so that everybody's on the same page as we move forward on this.
And how do you propose that? What does that look like to you?
It looks like putting together a timeline with like, when are we expecting to interview people? What's the process for where is there community input in the process? Where are we conducting our interviews? All of that sort of stuff. And I know it's a little difficult to do, but we should start looking at that because we're in September already. And we need to start putting timelines together for this sort of stuff.
So I got that from Brian's report that hopefully we're going to have that timeline in the next month. Is that correct, Brian? Or at least a draft timeline?
Yeah, you will have IAPD's timeline suggestion early next week.
Okay.
Along with some text that we're going to put in the brochure, which you guys can edit and change any way you want. So that's all going to start real soon. Then they'll put together a format. In the text, the Ready Committee will be mentioned as part of Ridgeville Park District, along with our programs, our facilities, our programs. So any of that can be added, adjusted, changed in any way, shape, or form.
I'd like to, I don't know if anybody can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
Yeah, we can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I've been having such problems with this. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry I'm late. Nothing was working in our house. I would like to know from you, JC, what is the purpose of having a board member on the Ready Committee if they're not the ones bringing back and forth information?
But having a board member on the Ready Committee is to help bring the purposes of the board to the committee. I'm the one that brings information from the committee back to the board.
But I don't understand what the board member's position is.
It's a representative for the board. So then when we're having meetings as the committee, that the guidelines, the interests of the board are present through that.
And
board
are they?
committee.
Well, and I have to say, okay, but I think the board person on the committee should be the liaison. That seems to me what the board person is on the committee for. But I also have to say that I just have a real problem with your saying if they have not yet been informed, we're hoping the IAPD will be informed about RPD's dedication to becoming anti-racist. That is a big part of who we are working on that, but that to become anti-racist implies that we are racist and that we want them to know. I feel like I was really offended by this letter. And I also feel that the Ready Committee is a committee under the auspices of the board. You're not going to get to vote on this person. And probably a lot of it will be done in an executive session, which you will not come to. So I think that we need to get together and really set up what the Ready Committee is, what its parameters are, what it's involved in, what it's not involved in. And I mean, we all need to agree on it. We can decide on whatever we want. But I think there's a lot of muddying of the waters.
Debbie,
I just wanted to say that.
I think that your concerns about the committee might be better addressed at another time. I'm not sure that that's what this agenda item is. I also want to remind you that we do have a charter that guides the decisions and the boards of the decisions of the committee and how they relate to the board. I also just want to point out to you that this term of anti-racism is the difference between having an organization that is continuing the process that it is already, like the trajectory it's already been on, as opposed to the work that we started with Dr. Effiam of rewriting policies, procedures, and ordinances so that all of that language is consistent with equity, because it's currently not. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the Park District is racist. It means that we're taking a further step to prevent future racism.
Okay, so that wording is just really got me.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's actually pretty typical in equity work, and we talked about it with Pat also. I'm a little surprised. It's a very typical term in equity work.
But when you say you hope that they've been informed, obviously they're being informed of what we want, and I also feel like I'm not sure what you mean by you want to be. What is it that you want to be involved in? I mean, I'm sure we'll have a public forum where residents can ask questions or submit questions. And I really feel like that would be appropriate for a committee of citizens to, give questions. I just feel like there's not a real good definition of what committees are in relationship to the board, etc. And I don't know what you're talking about me not addressing right now. Or are you not addressing? I'm addressing this report. So we can move on. I will talk to commissioners about getting together and really deciding where, because I mean, if you want to be on the board, run for the board.
I don't want to be on the board.
I think you should.
That's why I'm on the committee.
I think that, we want your information, we want your ideas, we want this, but to have a seat at the table when we're interviewing and stuff, I don't think is appropriate.
Okay.
All right. Anything
That's all.
further? All right. Thank you, JC.
You're welcome.
Moving on to old business. discuss and approve the 2022-2023 appropriation ordinance. This is in our packet, starting on page 27. It's a 5-page document. Brian, do you want to lead us through this?
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, so you have a copy of the appropriation ordinance and the line items, either online or sent to your house. So what I'd like to do real quick is just highlight a few things. Jerry and I made a few more adjustments since the last board meeting. And I'll tell you why certain categories have been adjusted. Starting with CA3, that is, it was $96,300. It's now $114,850. That's to work with the new director for 2 to 3 months. The new director to work with me for 2 to 3 months. Utilities, CA5, we changed from 21,000 to 33,000. We went over last year's budget, and I got a feeling, and a lot of people agree with me, that our utility bills are going to skyrocket in the winter due to some things that are happening internationally. CA8, health insurance. We added 2 to 3 months extra for the new director. So that's why it was 66 and now it's 73.6. CA21, board activities, equity consultants in there, and the director search is in there. So it went from 18 to 24,000. On the recreation side of the budget, vehicles, R12, there's going to be needs for the new Kubota and the new F-250 if that passes. That went from 17,000 to 20,500, and also fuel. We can't gauge the price of that, so we're playing it safe. R14 went from 22,000 to 28,000, and the new gardens and garden needs are in that budget, are in that line item. And then R23, you'll see it went down from 80,500 to 23,500. That is not a misprint, but the partner camps were separated into their own line item. So now it's more reflective of program supplies only. And CA 600, we put in the F-250 with plow, needed to replace the old F-250. So those are the changes that would catch your eye. And other than that, myself, Jerry Gibbs, and Matt Mitchell were involved in the final discussions there. So that's it in a nutshell.
Anybody have any questions or comments regarding the appropriation ordinance? Is there a motion regarding the ordinance?
I move to approve the appropriations ordinance.
Second? Mitchell seconds. Any discussion? All right, Julie, could we do a roll call vote?
Yes. Yvonne,
Yes.
Braun,
yes,
Morel,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
and Mitchell.
Yes. All right, thank you. Appropriation ordinance passes.
Matt, can you come in and sign
I'll stop by
tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Okay. And then a quick item on the as we just passed the appropriation ordinance, and Charles, maybe you can help us with this. Jerry's reports to the board, so they need a motion. I need a motion to increase his pay per the ordinance.
Can we do that without?
Do we do it now, or do we do it in December?
Can we do it without being on the agenda? That's my question.
Oh, okay.
You're on mute, Charles.
It's not on the agenda, but the appropriations ordinance was on the agenda and that contemplated it. So I think I don't see a problem with doing that.
Any commissioners have any opinion on that? I'm inclined to move it forward. And Brian, could you give me the increase amount?
His wage would go to $9,700. Same as the audit fee.
I move we increase the treasurer's pay for 2022, 2023 to $9,700.
I second it.
Any discussion? Julie, could we roll call that, please?
Diana, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Are you a yes on that?
Yes.
Thank you. Braun,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
and Mitchell.
Yes. The motion passes. Moving on to discuss the update on garden space. I know there's a comment about this at the last meeting. Brian, do you want to fill us in on where we're at?
Yeah, sure. So when we get close to harvesting the 908 Seward Gardens and do our fall cleanup in that space, Natalie and I will walk the space to identify areas for new plots that are not part of the Garden to Table program. Anyone who wants to be a part of that, you're more than welcome, but that's going to be weeks away. Also, when, and I mentioned this last month, but when plots are not renewed in February of 2023 at Elks Park, those plots will become available. So for instance, if a half a plot is not renewed, it will become 2 quarter plots. If a full plot is not renewed, it will become 4 quarter plots. So that way we can get more people involved in gardening. Long range addition plans will be to price out a potential garden in Elks Park that we talked about months ago in the southeast section. That's on my agenda. So that's it.
And then folks that have a full garden plot will kind of grandfather that full plot until they don't renew it.
Yeah.
Can a new incoming person get 2 quarter plots?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Can a new incoming gardener get more than 1 quarter plot?
It depends on our waiting list. So if the
Waiting list will get
waiting list is
filled
long,
first.
it's a quarter plot.
Thank you.
Is it possible for someone to produce a list for us of people who have plots and how long they have had those plots?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Is it possible to get a list of the people who currently have gardening plots and how long they have had those plots?
How long might be a problem, but a list of the current gardeners we have.
I just think it would be helpful to know. I mean, if we have people who have full plots that have had them for many years, and we're grandfathering them in, that just concerns me a little bit. That we are, we're public land, and we're sort of showing preference to somebody in particular. And I understand people have invested money and things like that, but it is our land. It is the public's land.
No, nobody was shown preference when the plots originally were one size, all 15 of them. Then maybe 4 years ago, we divided the plots in half. And so then if you owned a full plot, now you had 2 half plots. And those folks that are still here for many years, they were not shown preference. They just got in on the ground floor and are avid gardeners and still with us. So
right, but to me that seems like an unfair advantage for people when we have people who are waiting. And I'm not saying we rotate them over every year, but I think there does need to be some sort of a time limit on lots, on these garden plots, if we have high demand for them and we aren't able to meet that high demand, rather than to just keep making lots smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, well, that would be a policy for the board to pass. But there are people who've had garden plots that have put in tons of work and then have a great garden. So.
And I understand that, but it is public land. It's not their land. Just like if I made an improvement on public land, I can't come back then and say, well, I own this and I want to keep this way for forever.
Maybe I missed it, but do we have a waiting list?
That would, Natalie could tell you exactly how long that waiting list is.
Diana, we do have a wait list. I was able to whittle it down quite a bit this year. So I think at this point, we probably have 10 to 15 people left on it. And as plots are, I send out an email every February asking if renters wish to continue renting their plot. And when they say no, then I will move somebody in from the wait list. As that happened this summer, when people realized they had rented plots that they didn't actually have time to care for and essentially, stopped renting them, we split them in two. So it's still a very sizable plot. And I'm able to get into people from the wait list. So as plots come back to us next February, the plan is to also cut those in half in order to knock down that wait list a bit.
Brian and Natalie, do you have a sense of how many full of the original 15 plots, how many are still full plots owned by 2 halves run by one person?
All of them are rented as a complete plot, except for, I think, 3 or 4 now. 3 or 4 of them have been turned into half plots.
Okay. All right. Anything further regarding the garden?
Can I ask a question / ask a request? Just as if the board does decide to move forward and change policy surrounding how those rental processes go, if that can get on the agenda sooner than later would be great, because it really sneaks up on you and then it takes me a lot of time to coordinate all of those people. So there's also gonna, potentially be some challenging conversations to have depending on how things change. So I would just make a humble request that it be on there relatively soon.
So I'll make that humble request right now that we put that on the next month's agenda for a discussion item.
Got it. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
I was going to do that during call of the commissioners, but I'll do it now for you.
Thank you. So we'll discuss that again next month. Anything further for this month's garden conversation?
But did I miss something? But aren't you opening up new plots? Didn't you just say that, Brian?
What's that?
Didn't you just say that you're opening up new plots at another park?
Yeah, we're behind the community house where the garden to table program is. We talked about that the last 3-4 months.
Oh,
Putting
so
in.
there will be more plots.
Yeah, there'll be more plots, probably 3 to 4 to 5 behind the building, we hope.
All right, moving on. There's no new business on the agenda, so we will move to call the commissioners. Julie, would you mind calling out the commissioners?
Or Anton?
I don't have anything.
Ron?
Yes, I'd like to bring up the what's it called? Mashabout, I think, or Mashup. Mashup in Evanston. Mashup. And this year, it's going to be for the very first time in the Ridgeville district. So I think that we should somehow be involved with this. It's given by the Chamber of Commerce and Northwestern, isn't that right, Matt?
It's a partnership between Northwestern, the city, and the Chamber of Commerce. And actually, last year was the first year it was held in the district. It was held in the 8th Ward last year.
Oh, right. It was at the Palm, right?
Palm House, yes.
And this farmhouse, and this year it's going to be at the Auto Barn on Howard. And so last year was the first year, this is the second year. I really would like to see us talk about having a presence there. And Anne Rainey asked me to bring this up because she's actually working on it. And she said she would be happy to talk to Brian or Natalie, whoever would like to call and get all the information. But I would really like to see this brought up and put on the agenda to discuss it or vote on it or whatever next time.
When is it?
Yeah.
November 2nd.
I'm sorry, when?
November 2nd.
Ooh, wow, that's right around the corner.
And what is it?
It's Matt.
It's kind of a community celebration. It's a partnership between Northwestern, the city, and the Chamber of Commerce. They get together, they give awards to select businesses, to not-for-profits. They receive some grant money, but it's kind of a big party. All of the various businesses, restaurants, brew pubs, that sort of thing, get together and they offer food and drink. And it's really just kind of a large party celebrating Evanston and all that Evanston is.
At Auto Barn.
At Auto Barn in their facility behind Target.
Ah.
Could you send us that information? Is it online somewhere?
I'm sure it's on the chamber.
I'm sure,
website.
yeah, you could go online or to the Chamber of Commerce or
Chamber of Commerce, okay.
call Anne Rainey. She's actually working on getting people involved. And if you call her, she can give you all the information and what needs to be done and explain it to you.
Okay.
All right, so Debbie, that'll be your agenda item next month?
No, it would be my agenda item, but I'd like a report given from Brian or Natalie as to what they found out and what the deal is.
Sure. That'll be on the October agenda and we'll get to work on it.
Brian and Natalie, I
Okay.
just emailed it. I just emailed you a link.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Debbie?
That's all. Thank you.
Mitchell?
I just wanted to say I had two folks come up to me this week. One really appreciative of the skateboard design class. Really worked for their child participant. And then another woman who didn't even know I was connected to Ridgeville was just raving about the creative camp, the imaginary camp. So just nice to hear nice things out in the community. That's it.
Rogers?
Couple quick things. We had discussed a couple meetings ago about changing up the order of our votes and call so that the same person wasn't always the first vote or something. So I'd like to know if we can institute that beginning maybe at our next meeting and cycle through so that everybody has a chance to vote first, with the exception of the president, instead of always having the same commissioner go first each time. Secondly, I really want us to start meeting in person. I think we need to, I've been meeting in person for months now with the city. All of their stuff is back in person. I think we need to start meeting in person. In-person meetings are so much easier to conduct and engage with people as opposed to online meetings. So I will reiterate my statement from last meeting that I really think that we need to have a plan for getting back in person. And then finally, I'm currently serving on the Ready Committee. And when I signed on, it was kind of with the idea that it would be a temporary thing. I'm looking to see if there's any other commissioners who want to step into this role. My work stuff has gotten a little busier and I have so many meetings in a month that I'm going to now. So if someone else has an interest in serving, please let me, JC, Matt, someone know. Thank you.
Morale?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Mitchell moves to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
I'll second.
All those in
oh.
favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Hi.
All right. Thank you very much. 1 hour and 5 minutes.
Great
Appreciate it.
meeting.
Good job,
Great month.
Matt.
All right.
Yeah.
See you all next month, if not before.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.